Hi teacher, we're the group number 3 and we are going to present our findings of the case. So first I want to talk some things about in US and Vietnam. Okay, first we can talk about the cultural things that is essential, the characteristics is essential to understand this case. First, in Vietnam, we have something in the case something about child labor force that in Vietnam is very common that in some of these factories they use kids to perform the clothes and okay, that's a characteristic that is important. Most of the people shop similar things, and so there's not a lot of variety of the clothes and shoes and things like that. Also in America, in cases like the decrease of U.S. pragmatism and interest in securing concrete results and from negotiations. Also, they want to eliminate the tariffs. What can I say? Like in Vietnam, the wages are lower than in the United States. That.
Yeah. With regard to the elimination of import tariffs of Vietnam, footwear is what is good for Nike, also in American economic interest. What about New Balance? So with the elimination of tariffs, the United States economy will also benefit like Nike, a New Balance company because they are a US company. And the tariffs are being applied to products that are manufactured in Vietnam, but also original from companies created in United States, and their brands come from there. With the reduction of tariffs, the two brands will benefit so their product can have a lowest cost. In addition to these two brands already know with a long time in the market, so that any other brand of shoes that entered to the country without tariff will not be much of problem for Nike and New Balance. Two key drivers of success of Vietnam footwear manufacturing sector include weekly enforced labor and environment standards and its generous subsidy to state-owned enterprise. Thus, it gives Vietnam firms unfair competitive advantage over United firms. Due to different labor and environment standards, Vietnam companies do have a competitive advantage because manufacturing costs are much lower than the manufacturing costs of US companies. An example is the workforce that is much deeper in Vietnam than in the United States. So also the environment rules, as already mentioned before, are not so severe. So the manufacturing of shoes is from 25% to 35% cheaper in Vietnam than in the United States. What strategy would you follow as Michael Furman during the negotiation in the TTP? Would you support the reduction of elimination of tariffs or would you protect them? Like Michael Furman, we will be in favor of elimination tariff in the shoe market, since the United States economy will be favored because consumers will have bigger choice of shoes selections and will be open to the market to free competition, allowing more companies to enter the country. Also, that the brands origin are original from the United States. Thanks to their position there in the market are protected from other brands. United States companies are multinationals capable of creating new strategies and will, with the elimination of the tariffs, we promote healthy competition.
When we did the draft agenda, we made the first objective is that we want to discuss the terms of the agreement, and in this way we can create benefits for both of the parties involved. And we have 3 discussion points. And the discussion point that we have is that we have to talk about the tariffs, and then we have to take in account the labor and inventory conditions, and because it's very important that workers have the right conditions. And also we have to finally give the details to make sure that every part is clear. In the proposal stage, we made 4 proposals. It says that the average tariff from sport footwear is 10%, so we won't be willing to eliminate it completely, but we can make it be reduced to a 7%. But we want Vietnam to increase their salaries so the workers can have a better living. And also we want some of the enterprises to make certain changes and start being more friendly in the ecological sense. And finally, as many people are going to lose their jobs because of the reduction of the tariff, we want these people to be relocated to other areas. And the importance of these proposals is that in this way we can benefit all sides. And we're going to use some questioning techniques to be able to understand better what are going to be the terms. So the first question is how can we ensure that eliminating some tariffs won't make the fabrics move to other countries? This is very important to make sure that we don't lose jobs. The second question is that how can we decrease the price of the shoes without reducing the tariffs? Because it's really important that we create more sales, but in this way we need to reduce the prices of the shoes. And finally, what are the working conditions for the people? Because in Vietnam the conditions aren't great. So what we want is to be able to guarantee better conditions for the people in there.
Well, in exploring interests, we have the position of Nike, that Nike wants that Michael Forman to remove all the tariffs of footwear products because Nike has believed that it's obsolete. And about New Balance wants to the tariffs is not reduced because it would be detrimental to U.S. footwear workers and smaller footwear manufacturing. And Michael Forman, they want all the government complete the negotiation on the Trans-Pacific Partnership because the multilateral talks could potentially deliver his benefits for the U.S. economy. And Vietnam wants to pressure to the U.S. to reduce the tariffs on imported footwear because Vietnam wants to become one of the most important company in the world. About the bargaining zone, we have an opening point that is a 12% that wants Nike. The target point is 5% and the reserve point is 7%. And New Balance wants to create 60% and target point 12% and reservation point at 9%. This is about the tariffs. In the roadmap, we want to create a period of 8 years that is determined where the first 4 years is reduced by 14% and the remaining 4 years will be eliminated to the 7 or 8%. And this way, the US industry will be competitive in all the markets. About the persuasion power, we have the listening and acknowledge. We will acknowledge that reduce the tariffs is so convenient by American people and by Vietnamese industry. When we listen to the other proposed, we show interest and the communication is better. Second, build the trust. We will provide information and consultation to persuade the reducing tariffs is beneficial for the American industry because it will generate more source and employment in this way. We having information and people will feel more confident to agree to reduce all the tariffs. And third, use the body language to communicate. Making eye contact with your counterpart when he's speaking is important. For them, it shows that you're interested and listening. This helps to progress for a negotiation, easy to express trust and openness.
Possible breakdowns during the negotiation. With Nike, it may be the cause that during the negotiation, by giving a very direct answer, they can take it a wrong way and trigger other types of problems. With New Balance, by deciding to eliminate the tariff, it can cause them to immediately object, as it could their entire business as they are willing to change their perspective. Vietnam, by imposing the tariffs, could refuse to continue exporting to US, which would be very harmful because it's the second supplier in the United States. In these cases, a communication error could occur. For the three cases mentioned, the main problem that can arise is that the problem isn't being from an objective or neutral point of view, because each one sees for their own interests and doesn't calmly evaluate the situation. That is why it's necessary that a third actor, external to the problem, that the parties help in some way to make a decision in order to make a compensation and solve the problem in a mutually unsatisfactory way. And finally, closing the deal. The first thing we should do to ensure that we have closed the deal in the best way, it is to start by confirming the important points. In this case, a summary of all the final agreements will be made. Second, we must ensure that Nike, New Balance, and Vietnam have fully understood the final terms and agreements, so that each other actor knows to act on his obligation in the future and take the necessary actions. And finally, emphasis should be placed on the benefits that are obtained from the agreement for all parties, and this will help everyone to be more convincing of the final decision, and the stakeholders the reins for the decision taken. And finally, the negotiation should close with a positive message. That is to say, thinking that the four will regardless of the decision, and leaving open the option for future meetings.
In addition, I want to say that it's important to have a good relationship, so we have to take in consideration like the strategies to build a good report in all the negotiation. It's important to be empathic with the other part Also listen to the other part. You can talk with the person, and you can like be a friend and asking like things that are important. Also, you have to set limits, and so the values or respect and the other values are like present in the meaning. Thank you.